Okay, so today we are going to be talking or reviewing the sequences, right? So this is basically what your test will look like, same type of sections in the same order and all that kind of stuff. So the first section covers basically what we did the first day of this unit, where we were just finding a pattern and using that pattern to find the next few terms. So you'll see there's four blanks here. We're going to find the next four terms on these sequences. So most of these sequences are pretty simple. I'll come back to number one because that's a little bit more complicated one. But like this sequence, negative 20 to negative 40 to negative 60 to negative 80, looks like it's just going down 20, right? So its pattern is it's just subtracting 20 each time. So the next number would just be 20 less than negative 80, which is negative 100. And the next one would be 20 less than that, so negative 120. And then 20 less, so negative 140. And then 20 less, so negative 160. So just continuing that pattern is all I'm doing. Okay? So number 3 here goes from 10 to 20 to 40 to 80. So it is doubling each time, right? Or multiplying by 2. So the next one would be 160. Then it would be 320, and then it would be 640, and then it would be 1280. Okay, so not too tough. And then this last one looks a little trickier, right? This one and number 1 are going to be a little bit trickier. So this one goes from 1 to 4. Okay, and then 4 to 9, and then 9 to 16. So if it doesn't look like it's adding or multiplying or something by the same number, my suggestion would be always look at the difference between the numbers for that pattern. So the difference between 1 and 4 is 3, right? You added 3. From 4 to 9, the difference would be 5. You added 5. From 9 to 16, the difference would be 7, right? So using that pattern, or those differences, we can see a pattern, right? 3, 5, 7, it's going up by odds, right? Or going up by an additional 2 each time. So it would add by 9 next, and then it would add by 11. Oops, not 111, just 11. And then it would add by 13, and then it would add by 15. So 16 plus 9 would be 25. 25 plus 11 would be 36. 36 plus 13 would be 49, and then 49 plus 15 would be 64. Sorry. Yeah, that would be the pattern there. Okay, not too tough, right? And this one, very similar again. It's not adding the same number each time. It's not multiplying by a number each time. So we're going to look at the differences. So it adds 2. Then it adds 4, then it adds 8. There's a pattern right there, right? We are doubling what we add each time. So the next thing it would add would be 16, then it would add 32, then it would add 64, then it would add 128. Okay, so 14 plus 16 would be 30. 30 plus 32 would be 62. 62 plus 64 would be 126. And then 128, that'd be 240, 54. So 254. Okay. And that is the patterns. Not too tough, just looking for the pattern. Okay, the next section, these are the arithmetic sequences. So again, on the test you'll either be able to use, I think you'll have the formulas on there, maybe the note page, but the formulas, the explicit formulas, A sub n is equal to the difference times n plus the zero term. This is the only formula that asks you for the zero term. Every other formula asks you for the first term. This is the only one that wants the zero term. And that's the explicit formula. The recursive formula is a sub n is equal to a sub n minus 1 plus the difference, and then semicolon, identify what the first term is. Okay, those are your two formulas. So it asked me to find the explicit formula, the recursive formula, and the 50th term. Okay, so the very first thing you're going to do is find the explicit formula. To find the explicit formula, you need to find the difference, and you need to find the zero term, right? So to find the difference, you can always do the second term minus the first, or really any term minus the previous term. So here, if I do 13 minus a negative 13, it would be 26. I would be adding 26 each time. Okay, and then to find the zero term, I would go back 26, which would be negative 39. So your explicit formula would be a sub n is equal to 26n minus 39. Okay, now to show your work in this unit, you have to plug in a number into the explicit formula. So we're going to do that right now so I can show you how to show your work. You need this formula with the n's. If you write it with the number, you're going to get it wrong. Okay, it needs to be with the n. Okay, so the 50th term, you would type in 50 in for the n. So a sub 50 equals 26 times 50 minus 39. And then in your calculator, we just do 26 times 50 minus 39. And it gives me the 50th term is 1,261. So the 50th term is 1,261. Okay, this is how we show our work. You need to set it up so we can see how you solved for the 50th term. Okay, then the recursive formula, again, you just plug in the difference in the first term and you're done. So a sub n is equal to a sub n minus 1 plus 26, and then the first term is equal to negative 13. Now this is usually where students make the mistake. Notice these are different numbers, okay? I usually see students use the zero term for both or the first term for both. This is the only formula with the zero term. So make sure the explicit arithmetic sequence formula is the one with the zero term. Everything else is the first term. Okay? All right. I'm going to go through these a little bit quicker now that I've shown you how to do it. So here we go for the rest of these. Again, finding the difference. Difference between 10 and 22 is 12. The zero term would be going back 12. So from 10, so that'd be negative 2. So your formula for the explicit formula would be a sub n is equal to 12n minus 2. Again, you can always go back and rewind if I move too quickly and watch it multiple times. It's the nice thing about video, right? Okay, recursive formula would be a sub n is equal to a sub n minus 1 plus 12, and then the first term would be 10. And then to find the 50th term, it would be a sub n is equal to 12 times 50 minus 2. 12 times 50 is a large number. Minus 2 is 598. So 598 would be the 50th term. Okay, not too tough. Let's do another one. So this one, number 7. Difference is subtracting 4. 79 to 75 would be minus 4. So the zero term would be going back 4, which would be 83. So the explicit formula would be a sub n is equal to negative 4n plus 83. The recursive formula would be a sub n is equal to a sub n minus 1 minus 4. And semicolon, the first term is 79. And then to plug in the 50th term, it'd be a sub 50 equals negative 4 times 50 plus 83. So negative 4 times 50 plus 83 is negative 117. So the 50th term would be negative 117. Okay. And then the last one here, The difference is subtracting 20, so minus 20. Zero term would be going back 20, so 120. So your formula would be, for the explicit one, would be a sub n is equal to negative 20n plus 120. And then the recursive form would be a sub n is equal to a sub n minus 1 minus 20. And then the first term is 100. And then the 50th term would be a sub 50 is equal to negative 20 times 50 plus 120. Okay, so negative 20 times 50 plus 120 will be negative 180. So, negative, or 880. Negative 880 would be the 50th term on that one. Okay, that's the arithmetic sequences. Now, on the next page on the review, we'll talk about the geometric sequences. So another common mistake I see on this test is students using the arithmetic sequences for everything or the geometric formulas for everything. Remember, they have two different sets of formulas. Arithmetic sequences are those that add or subtract to get the next term. Geometric are those that multiply or divide. So your formula, your explicit formula for geometric is a sub n is equal to the first term, or a sub 1, and times the ratio to the n minus 1 power. Okay? The recursive formula would be a sub n is equal to a sub n minus 1 times the ratio, and then semicolon, first term, whatever it is. Okay? Those are your formulas. So, looking at the first one, again, to find the ratio, it's always the second term divided by the first term in the sequence. Okay, so on number 9 here, we've got 4 as the second term, right? So 4 divided by the first term, which is 12, would give me my ratio, which is 0.3 repeating. We need that to be a fraction, because we can't type in 0.3 repeating if we're finding a specific number. So to make it a fraction, it's that button right there, the fraction of decimal. Okay, it's right above the enter. You just push that right away, and it'll convert that to a fraction, which is 1 over 3. So the ratio is 1 over 3. And we don't have to worry about finding a different first term or something on this one. Both of these ask for the first term. Again, the only formula that asks for the zero term is the explicit arithmetic one. Okay? So we're going to set up the explicit geometric sequence, and for this you need the first term and the ratio. So first term here would be 12. So a sub n is equal to 12 times my ratio, which is 1 over 3, to the n minus 1 power. That's the formula. Then for the recursive formula, it's those same two things just plugged into this second formula here. So a sub n is equal to a sub n minus 1 times 1 over 3. And then semicolon, a sub 1 is equal to 12. That's the first term, right? And then it wants me to find the 8th term, so I'm going to replace the n with 8. So a sub 8 is equal to 12, or sorry, equal to 12 times 1 over 3 to the 8 minus 1 power. So 8 minus 1. So we're going to plug that in our calculator just like we see it. 12 times 1 over 3 to the 8 minus 1. 12 parentheses 1 over 3 parentheses exponent 8 minus 1. Just like we see it, and that's going to give me the 8th term, which is a decimal, or I could write that big long decimal, or I could convert it to a fraction, just like I taught you, to do 4 over 729. It's a little bit easier to write down. 4 over 729. Okay. On the test, we probably accept either answer, but this is the preferred answer. If you can get it to a fraction, get it to a fraction. Okay. Next one, and I'm going to start moving a little bit quicker here now that I've explained one. So we're going to go through and figure out what these are. So again, to find the ratio, second number divided by the first, 10 divided by 5 is 2. So your ratio is 2. It's multiplying by 2. My lights went out. Come on, come back on. Okay, there. Okay, so it's multiplying by 2. So I was to write my formula. I do a sub n is equal to the first term, which is 5, times the ratio, which is 2, to the n minus 1 power. And then I need those same two things for the recursive formula. So a sub n is equal to a sub n minus 1 times the ratio, which is 2, so times 2, and then semicolon, first term is 5. Okay, that would be your answers. Then for the 8th term, we just replace the n's in the explicit formula with 8. So a sub 8 is equal to 5 times 2 to the 8 minus 1 power. And then in our calculator, we just type 5 times 2 to the n minus 1 power. So 5 times 2 to the 8 minus 1 power. Just like that. Push enter, and our 8th term would be 640. Okay, not too tough, right? Okay, next one. Ratio 12 divided by negative 3, second term divided by first, would give me a ratio of negative 4. So my formula would be a sub n is equal to the first term, negative 3, times my ratio, negative 4, to the n minus 1 power. Then, recursive, a sub n is equal to a sub n minus 1 times the ratio, negative 4, and then semicolon, first term is equal to negative 3. And then to find the 8th term, replace the n's with 8. So a sub 8 is equal to negative 3 times negative 4 to the 8 minus 1 power. So on our calculator, negative 3, parentheses, negative 4, exponent, a minus 1. And the 8th term is 49,152. 49,152. Okay, not too bad, right? And the last one should be pretty easy. 1 divided by 4 is 1 over 4. So the ratio is 1 over 4. Okay, it'll be 0.25 in your calculator, which again, push the fraction decimal button, gives you 1 over 4. So your formula would be a sub n is equal to 4 times 1 over 4 to the n minus 1 power. Okay, then the recursive would be a sub n is equal to a sub n minus 1 times 1 over 4, and then semicolon, a sub 1 is equal to 4. Then to find the 8th term, you just replace the n's with 8. So a sub 8 is equal to 4 times 1 over 4 to the 8 minus 1 power. So 4 parentheses 1 over 4 parentheses exponent 8 minus 1 is too big of a fraction to convert. So we're just going to write down the decimal just like we see it. I think there's one on the test that's like this, so just write down the whole thing. Okay. Then the last section. This is just writing down the next few terms. Both of these give you a sub 1, or in other words, the first term. And it wants you to write the first 4 terms. So it gives you the first term on both of these, 5 and 1 over 4. Then it gives you a d equals negative 2 or an r equals 2. Again, if we look at these formulas, r goes with the geometric, and geometric is multiplying, right? R is the number you multiply. The d is the number you add by. Or if it's negative, you would subtract by. So if you see d, it just means add that number. And if it's negative, it'd be like plus negative, which is like add subtracting, right? So you would subtract 2 here. 5 minus 2 is 3. Minus 2 again would be 1. Minus 2 again would be negative 1. That's all it wants you to do. Basically, we're checking to make sure you understand that this is a difference and this is a ratio. So when you multiply this by 2, you would get 1 over 2, then you'd get 1, then you'd get 2. Okay, that's multiplying. Again, our 1 over 4 times 2, whoops, gotta go times 2, and you're gonna get 1 over 2. Times that by 2, you get 1. Times that by 2, you get 2. If I kept going, I could find more terms, right? They just are multiplying by 2 each time. That's what R means. It's a common ratio, which means it's multiplying by 2 each time. Okay? All right. If you have any questions or concerns, let me know. Here to help. All your teachers are here to help. We want to help. You just got to let us know how. So I'll see you guys out there.